It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue. Get over to Joe's today and do some indoor kart racing at the fastest indoor facility in Council Bluffs. Find more information online, joeskarting.com, and don't forget to head over to the Joe's Karting parts store. There's a link on the website of joeskarting.com for more information on that store, and then you can also give Buddy or Tracy a call today and get more information on your car parts. Doesn't have to be a race car parts. He can hook you up with anything, because like he was talking about when he was in on the show a couple of weeks ago, that they have the same supplier that Rock Auto does. Now, they don't get the mass discount that Rock Auto does, but anything you can get on Rock Auto, Buddy can get it through the Joe's Karting Parts Store. You can support a local parts store and a local retailer. Big show lined up for you today. We're going to recap the race at Atlanta. If we have time, we're going to talk about Kyle Larson and his naughty comments that he made on, I believe it was Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon.
They were just fine.
Then we're going to, in turn number 2, give our thoughts on the Areo package at Atlanta. Race 1 that we've seen it, so you can only take it from a very microcosm of a situation, but I have a couple of thoughts on it. I'm sure, Dirk, you do too. I know people have been chiming in on Facebook and throughout the area about their thoughts on it. So,
especially the people that don't care about NASCAR.
Exactly. I know who you're talking about. Then in turn number 3, Mike Mittler is going to come join us on the show and talk about what's going on with MB Motorsports. Great interview with Mike that we conducted about a week ago. Get an update on his health, and a big one, he's going to tell us who is going to be in that 63 truck at Eldora on August 1st for the Dirt Derby race. So make sure you tune into Mike Mittler joining us from MB Motorsports.
It's moved clear back to August 1st this year?
August 1st, yep. It's been moved back to August 1st. And then at turn number 4, race number 3 on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the Beatrice Spring Nationals, which has been officially moved back one more week. To you think about it like it's going to matter. But in that press release...
It's absolutely not going to matter. Have you seen the 2-week temperatures coming up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like this morning.
We're barely going to get above freezing on the nicest day.
Oh, I mean, how cold was it this morning? Did it get to 10 below? That's what they were predicting. I didn't see, and I didn't look at my phone yet.
The overnight, I didn't see what the overnight low was. But when I woke up Wednesday morning, it was 9 degrees. And on Tuesday morning, it was 2 degrees, I believe.
Monday, it was 7 below when I went to dialysis. But I'm talking about Sunday morning. This Sunday, it's supposed to be 10 below and 9 below on Monday morning.
Good land.
And it's not supposed to get above freezing for the next 2 weeks plus.
Good land. Hey, last weekend, David Ackerson, a good friend of the show, a police officer throughout the area. Him and his wife are great people that have been contest winners with us in the past. They got to go to Iowa Speedway for the Crewman for the Day contest. I want to say congratulations to David. He was the one that answered the trivia question last weekend for the family 4-pack to the auto show. The trivia question for that: who was the driver that won the Cup Series Atlanta race in 2018?
Mr. Harvick.
Mr. Happy picked up the win. That was the 2018 race, so congratulations
to David. This week
he
was Mr. Unhappy.
Here is the trivia question for this week. Who is going to be driving the number 63 truck for MB Motorsports
I know.
Eldora truck race? Hosts and co-hosts are ineligible to win this contest. But who's going to be driving the 63 truck at the Eldora truck race on August 1st for MB Motorsports? You will only know that answer if you listen to turn number 3, but I'm going to give you the question ahead of time so you make sure and listen. And then as soon as it is said, call 402-573-0590. 402-573-0590 is the number to call if you think you know the answer, or when you hear the answer to that question, who's going to be in the 63 truck for MB Motorsports at the Eldora truck race August 1st. Then 402-573-0590. You're going to win yourself a family 4-pack of tickets to the auto show March 15th, 16th, and 17th at the CHI Center. You pick a day. You could take 2 tickets and go one day, 2 tickets and go another day. You've got 4 tickets to do with whatever you want, but a ticket will only get you in for one day. So that's coming up. The answer is going to come up at turn number 3. You're going to want to make sure and call Craig, our great board op, and get that answer to him so you can win those tickets.
Our signal must have been just fine because David had to hear it in his cruiser.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And that brings us to point number 2. I do apologize to anybody that wasn't able to enjoy the show last weekend via the radio. The radio station, technical problems happen. You didn't expect this one to happen, but the radio station believes on Friday night when we had that big snowstorm that hit, that the tower was struck. Yeah, the tower was struck by lightning during a, what do they call it? Thunder snow? Is that what they call it?
Yep.
So one of those rare instances.
It's not that rare in Snoqualmie, Alaska.
That's a good point. Nothing's rare in this town anymore. Anyways, back to point number 2, which we're getting a little sidetracked already this morning. The station was struck by lightning, so the tower had some issues, and the show did air, but it was a little rough. So if that ever happens again and you want to hear it, just head over to YouTube. We get the show posted at about 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. If it's a live show, it's not going to be till Monday morning because it takes us time to get it up through the channels. But pre-recorded shows, we get them up at about 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, so you can enjoy them. That's a great way to get back and listen to that. Plus, those YouTube broadcasts, the YouTube replays of the show usually have edited content still in it. So a lot of times we have to trim the show down for time. YouTube, we don't have to do that.
Yeah, we've got some hour and 45-minute shows on there, I know.
If we just keep going and the conversation's rolling and the interviews are doing great, we'll just keep going with it and we'll upload the entire show. But then we have to trim it down for the on-air broadcast. But do apologize to anybody that did affect. You make sure you subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube channels. You get notifications right away when the show gets posted, and you don't have to wait for me to post it on Facebook. All right, let's talk about the Atlanta recap. Dirk, starting off this race, nobody really, the drivers had a pretty good idea what they could expect. The broadcast partners kind of felt like they knew what was going to happen. I certainly was not expecting 3 and 4 wide as they were going around that track for about 5 or 6 laps after almost every restart.
Well, they had done that at Charlotte for the All-Star race, the only other time this package was ever run. But Charlotte isn't quite as hard on tires as was Atlanta is. That's why it was surprising, the fact that they stayed out there so long. Like you say, the 4th, 5th, 6th lap when they were 3 and 4 and 5 wide was really eating some tires for some guys. And they showed through the broadcast, they would show, some tires coming off that were just garbage that hadn't blown yet. But the driver can feel when the cords are starting to come apart on that. And I honestly think when Brad Keselowski right at the end of the race started backing up a little bit, I think he was getting a tire that he thought was coming apart.
Yep.
So he went ahead. He had a big lead, and he just went ahead, and cut it down to size and then raced at the end to make sure he won.
So speaking of that lead, several times we have talked about the part that fans just absolutely cringe at when it comes to 1.5 mile tracks is when a guy gets out in front, he's gone. And it can be, when you get 10 or 15 laps, it can be a 2.5, 3 second lead. And that's just not fun to watch. It's never been fun to watch in the history of racing. And that was one thing that NASCAR said that this new Aero package was going to help, was going to reduce that. I think we saw quite a few times when somebody was able to get out, second and third place were able to reel them back in, and we saw passes for the lead after long green flag runs.
Well, there was a lot of different lap leaders. Almirola was real good at the beginning. Then he got his penalty, and once he was back in traffic, he was toast.
That was another point I wanted to bring up, too. I think Kyle Busch had a very difficult time getting through the field. If this was a year ago, I think he'd have been through that field and in the top 15, if not top 10, within the first stage.
Well, I think if he hadn't crashed his backup car or his primary car on Saturday and had to go to his backup, he did not have a lap.
Yeah.
Not one lap in that car. So who knows what he could have done if they'd at least had one practice session in that car.
I think they've got these cars pretty well dialed in to where, granted, it's your backup car. There's a reason why that car is not your primary car,
Correct.
But it's still going to be pretty good. My point in this whole conversation is I think this Aero package really stopped these guys from blowing through the field like we've seen in the previous years.
And the other thing that hurt was they took the track bar adjuster out of the cockpit.
Right, absolutely.
That killed a lot of people. And, the guys were even commenting on it. Man, I wish I could just adjust the track bar just a little bit. I'm
glad NASCAR took that out because now these guys don't get to fix an evil car, make it a little bit better. They've got to deal with it, and I think it makes it more fun for us as fans to be able to see somebody like a Kevin Harvick, who is typically so good and very good at adjusting his car. When they've gone the wrong way or the track has changed faster than they predicted, he can't do anything with it until he comes to the pits, and he's got to deal with an ill-handling car.
Yeah, but I think it's better for the racing if they have a track bar adjustment.
You think so?
Yes, because I think if they can all improve their cars, then I think the racing would be better.
Yeah.
But again, they are all in the same boat.
Speaking of lap leaders, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Aric Almirola, Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano were all lap leaders Sunday at Atlanta Motor Speedway during the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500.
That's why I said it wasn't a Martin Truex go out and,
Right.
Lead 398 miles of the 400.
Larson was the strongest one of the day, led 142 laps, led 7 different times.
But,
Won stage 1, finished second in stage 2, came home 12th place. After he had a pit road speeding penalty
Yep,
that
pit
just
road
crippled
penalty.
him. And this is again, if this aero package truly is what's causing these guys an issue to get through the field so much cleaner and so much faster, I think you're going to see a big emphasis back on qualifying and then keeping yourself clean. A lot of times they were able to just, how many times, again, speaking of Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick and these the top tier guys, they would have something happen on pit road early in the race and they would just blast through the field in no time and get back up there again and start competing for the top 10s again. But, you saw guys like Kyle Larson who had a winnable car. He was incredibly fast, but he got a late race pit road speeding penalty that I think in 2018 he'd have been able to make his way up into the top 10 easily and then compete for a top 5 position. He was mired back in traffic.
Well, that and the track went back to being quicker on the bottom than it was on the top later in the race. So where he was really fast was when the top was fast. He loves it up there, and he proved it. He went up there first, and he went up there most of the time.
Overall, what did you like? Did you like Atlanta more 2019 or 2018?
In all honesty, I liked Atlanta before they reconfigured it in the later 90s.
Well,
it used to be
that wasn't one of your multiple choice questions, young man.
But
stick to the questionnaire.
No, I think it was a good race. It was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I think the end was entertaining, and the controversial part was Stenhouse involved. He did absolutely nothing wrong. So
completely agree.
Everybody thinks that blue flag with a yellow stripe means move out of the way. It doesn't mean move out of the way. It means hold your line.
Right. The leaders are coming.
That's all it means. Here come the leaders. And like Larry Mack said, I don't know if anybody saw his thing on Facebook yesterday. I don't remember what it was on the.
It was on NASCAR on Fox's Facebook channel.
Okay, that's where it was on. Okay, where he said, I always told my driver to get out of the way and let the leaders race because I didn't want to be that guy coming up trying to pass the back marker at some time.
Right.
And that's something, if for God knows some unknown reason that Stenhouse is ever going to lap Martin Truex, like when Martin decides to race with just 3 tires, Martin's not going to let him by.
You make your bed early in the year. And you make a lot of goodwill or you make a lot of ill will. And that's a lot of things that you don't see very well on TV. You can see it at the track when you're there watching the race. But these guys have long memories. We've talked about that 100 times. And they will remember that one time. It doesn't matter if it's later this year or 10 years from now. Martin Truex Jr. will remember, you didn't let me go at Atlanta and you cost me a win. I'm not going to let you go today.
You don't know if he could have won the race or not.
Right.
But Brad Keselowski got by him.
Yeah. And by the way, this isn't a NASCAR issue. This is a racing issue. How many times have we seen this at the local dirt tracks? Man, if that dumb lap traffic would have got out of the way, if that kid would have just moved, if he'd have picked a line, I could have got through clean and I could have gone and won the race. And instead, I'm sitting here in tech inspection in second or third place. And, and how many times? You know what? Lap traffic is just a part of the sport. And I do think there's a line to where that is. I think in this situation, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had every right to fight for that position and to maintain that. Now, I think if you're somebody that's multiple laps down, that's a little bit different. Maybe, and I did see one car, I cannot remember the car, that actually pulled onto the apron and completely got out of the gas when there was a cluster of cars coming at him. And he just pulled right off the track and let them go by. He was multiple laps down anyways. Didn't matter if they got by him or not.
Well, our buddy Ross Chastain did it one lap late in the race. He went down off the track and let everybody go by. But, guys have done that, but now they've got that minimum speed, and it's been adjusted, and they're trying to crack down on it. So you don't see that very often.
Yeah, but I think that's the other side of the example of, where Martin Truex Jr. would have obviously loved for Ricky Stenhouse to get out of the way. I think I don't blame Martin for being upset because, like I said, he thinks Ricky stole a win from him. But I don't think Ricky was in any wrong to hold on to that position and fight for every spot. Just keep in mind, a lot of these teams are fighting for every dollar they can get out of that purse. And if Ricky would have pulled over and lost his momentum, which that was a huge deal on Sunday at Atlanta, was momentum, who knows if he'd have lost one or two more spots, and that could have been another $25,000, $30,000 that didn't come back to that race operation.
Yep, it's and he was trying to also race, and in case there would have been a late caution, be the first driver a lap down.
Absolutely. So Brad Keselowski ends up picking up the win. It's his his 28th victory in 343 Cup Series starts. Ends up taking the honors as the winningest driver for Penske Motorsports, and that doesn't just include NASCAR. That includes IndyCar, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he got his 60th win overall, and so basically you're just talking about Xfinity and the Cup Series. Rusty Wallace, I believe, is still the leader in Cup. He's got 37 wins for Rusty, somewhere around there. If it goes to one series, and I don't know, Donahue drove a bunch of different stuff for Penske. So
yeah, they were saying that on the broadcast. I think it was post-race. They were talking about all the different stuff he drove. And
he drove several classes of cars to get he had 59 wins, so... But it's still a cool accomplishment, and he'll have a plaque up in Penske Motorsports somewhere for a while until somebody comes along and beats that record.
Martin Truex Jr. begrudgingly finishes second. Kurt Busch gets a third-place finish. Kevin Harvick comes home fourth, and Clint Bowyer, who was my pick on Sunday in Atlanta, comes home with a top 5 finish. By the way, me and I think 30-some other people took Clint Bowyer. So even though I did get a top 5 finish, it wasn't a good points day for me because I didn't do that. I didn't get that many points. Who'd you take? Clint?
I was one of them 30.
A lot of people were. I saw, Clint Bowyer started that close to the pole.
And the other thing with Brad is that Brad did not practice the car at all on Saturday.
Yeah.
He had done some Facebook Live stuff Friday night. And he was out in the campground. He gave away a few cases of beer. He drove up these one people, and they just kind of looked at it, and everybody was eating. They just all froze. It was so funny. And he goes, "Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski." And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, same way I was.
Where do you want me to put you some beers? And one guy says, "Oh, he's going to love that. He's a big Miller guy," and whatnot. So they talked to him. But then all of a sudden Saturday, he wasn't feeling real good. And they said he took a couple IVs over the weekend. But
yeah, him and his wife both suffering from the stomach flu. And they put 2 bags of IVs in Brad Saturday night over into Sunday morning. And he said he felt a lot better and obviously felt good enough to hold on to that car and go win a race.
He practiced the car on Saturday. They just turned a few laps and basically made sure that, everything was buttoned up and everything was working. No leaks, that kind of thing. That's why, there wasn't a huge improvement. But he really came through the field after, I think he started 18th. No, Harvick was 18th. Brad was 22nd? 19th.
Yep.
I knew he was back around there somewhere. Harvick was 18th.
Kyle Busch comes home in the 6th spot. Erik Jones 7th. Aric Almirola 8th. Chris Buescher 9th. And Daniel Suarez with a nice top 10 finish. Good finish for Chris Buescher. I was really impressed with him and Ryan Preece, the way they were able to hang in there. And until that
pit road deal.
Thank you for putting it much more nicely than I wanted to.
Yeah.
I screamed at the TV, and my girlfriend's like, "What are you yelling at?" And
Never mind. Yeah, she probably says, "Oh, he took that 47 car. That's what he did."
Rough days for, let's see. Well, Ryan Preece, who was doing really well, ended up finishing 35th.
Yeah, he was in the top 10.
Bubba Wallace, 27th. Jimmie Johnson, 24th. Hendrick Motorsports really struggled at Atlanta. That was interesting. I think 17th.
Kyle Larson knows why.
Yeah, because we'll talk about that coming up in turn number 2. We got to take a break. We've gotten long in turn number 1. We'll be back in turn number 2. Mike Mittler still to come in turn 3, and our Vegas insider information coming up in turn number 4. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
Racers all over the country are discovering the benefits of powder coating their chassis. Powder coating offers a clean, even finish you will be proud to show off to fans and sponsors. Plus, it's a more durable surface. While looking beautiful, powder coating offers superior protection against corrosive chemicals typically spilled during routine maintenance. Bare frames start at $275 with estimates available if blasting or reworking is needed. Get your quote today by emailing Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com or by calling 712-623-4911.
Every driver is looking for the competitive edge, and fantasy racing is no different. Get the competitive edge on your league by subscribing to fantasyracingtips.com. Chad Robb, a member of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association, gives you great insight, statistics, and easy-to-understand information for each race. He'll give you the competitive advantage that'll put Benjamins back in your wallet. From DraftKings to season-long NASCAR fantasy leagues, Chad knows who you should take each race. Turn your fantasy season around at fantasyracingtips.com.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into turn number 2. And while we said we were going to talk about the Areo package, we kind of talked about it in turn 1. So maybe we could just move on to Kyle Larson's thoughts. But
it was kind of the race recap.
Yeah. It's any other kind of anything we didn't cover you wanted to talk about for the Areo package?
Nothing seemed to fall off any of the cars. A couple lug nut penalties, but nothing else.
Yep.
So
everybody passed post-race inspection. According to the
2 weeks in a row.
According to the rule books, it was Keselowski and Truex, and then somehow Kevin Harvick was the random.
You and I have talked before about my random stories.
The random. If you can't see, I'm doing air quotes. The random.
I once saw a driver in the Truck Series be the random guy 6 weeks in a row. It didn't matter where he finished. He was in the trailer and loaded up because he was crashed out about the third lap of the race, but he got pulled out and got inspected as the random.
I believe. Don't we know that driver?
Yes, we do know that driver.
Aren't we good friends with that driver?
Yes, we are.
So I thought the Areo package did well. You know, take it with a grain of salt. It's one race. It's at Atlanta. It's a different type of a track. Each one of these mile-and-a-half tracks, even though they're mile-and-a-half tracks, each one of them has their own characteristics. So the package is going to act a little bit different. That's why some of the packages are slightly different at these tracks, is because NASCAR is trying very hard to accommodate with the different style tracks.
Well, the real weird thing they came up with, Atlanta's designed more like Kansas Speedway. It's almost a D shape as opposed to the tri-oval like Texas or Charlotte or Atlanta. So it's a little bit different shaped track, so it'll race differently. And so the package will work differently, but I just read this week that Goodyear's taking a different tire than what they just had at the tire test a month ago. So that's going to throw a monkey work into a few people.
Yeah, a new left and right side tire for today's race at Las Vegas. Coming back to the Areo package, I was really surprised how much the broadcast partners talked about the lack of horsepower. And I was really surprised how much I noticed it too. There was one time I came back inside from working outside in the driveway, and I literally thought they were still under green or under yellow. And it turns out they were up to speed coming out of turn 2 on the next lap. So I'd missed the restart, and they'd gone around. So it is noticeable. But I'll say this forever until I change my opinion or anybody proves me wrong. I don't think you need speed for a great race.
Well, no, but it definitely helps because, the better drivers come to the top, with more speed. What you might see now in the next year, maybe even halfway through this season, is you might see them change the gears up a little bit.
Yeah.
And try and give them just a little bit of speed back. Because Stenhouse said that during qualifying that they were wide open. Fresh tires and everything. Mm-hmm. They were just flat out all the way around. And that's no good for the race.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so let's talk about Kyle Larson's comments. He was on NBC Sports.
With Rick Allen.
With Rick Allen, yep, he's a Nebraska native, right?
Correct, he is.
He said Atlanta, this being Kyle Larson, said Atlanta's so different than any other track that we're going to go to the rest of the year that you can't jump to conclusions off of 1 week. I feel like Hendrick plays games in a way with NASCAR. I feel like they always start the year off kind of bad to show NASCAR that they're being nice and cooperating and following the rules and stuff, and then it gets a couple months in and they start cheating and find some speed. You know how sometimes people will say something and you're like, that's not what they meant.
He probably thought that about 3 seconds after it came out of his mouth. Why did I say that?
I think Kyle meant exactly that, but I think he regrets saying that right now. He did try to walk it back later and say I was just kidding. I obviously don't mean that Hendrick Motorsports cheats. They're a great competitor and a great supplier of engines for Chip Ganassi race.
Now, so if Kyle Larson blows up the next 5 races...
but that's just the game. I love Kyle because the comments that he makes, he's honest. He's an honest guy. And you know what? The sport needs more of it. I mean, that's the reason why I like Tony Stewart so much. It has little to do with his championships, his wins, and the way he drove. A little bit to do with the way he drove. But I love the fact that he would call somebody out on their BS.
He'd call a spade a spade.
Right, and which is the reason why that's the most scared person I am to interview, because I know if I have one dumb question, which we know I have a lot of dumb questions, I'm going to get called out on it. He's not going to let it slide. So, but anyways.
Especially we don't have the beep button available.
Right. So later on, I think it was the next day, Kyle tweeted, "I want to apologize to Mr. Hendrick and Team Hendrick for the comments I made earlier. I feel terrible about it. I meant it jokingly, but shouldn't have implied that they have anything but are a strong competitor that gets better as the season goes on." No, he did. That's not what he meant. Listen, I think he meant exactly what he said. I think that's the sentiment probably a lot of teams have about Hendrick Motorsports. I think it's funny that he called it how he saw it, and now he's in a little bit of hot water.
The only thing they could have done that'd make you laugh harder is if he would have thrown a midget in there.
He's got a midget buddy friend. I've got one too. I should throw one in here on the show one of these days. Anyway, so Kyle Larson's comments. Good, bad, ugly. What do you think?
He shot the truth. He shot what he really thought. There was no hiding it. He didn't say, "Are we going to edit this out?" Mm-hmm. He just went ahead and said what came to his mind. So I got all kinds of respect for him. He's always been good to us when we've had to talk to him, and never, tried to dodge any of our questions in any way, shape, or form. And I think, though, the fact that he does get his engines from Hendrick, I think might not have been the wisest move to make.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever see Matt DiBenedetto badmouth a Gibbs car.
You don't slap the hand that feeds.
Pretty much.
And they feed big.
You don't go to Burger King and give the people at the counter crap so they can spit on your hamburger.
Right. You wait until after you get your food to do anything like that. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know how much legitimacy is to his comments, if they really feel like that. Obviously, they do if he's going to go on national television and say it. I mean, that wasn't – he knew exactly where he was. He knew exactly what was going on.
And Rick Allen didn't stand up there with a disclaimer. The opinions you hear from Kyle Larson are not the opinions of NBC Sports or Fox Sports or whatever.
I'm kind of surprised that he didn't follow more forward on that and kind of say – but, he let it go, and as is kind of the norm, you don't. It's not gotcha journalism in the world of NASCAR.
Well, that's always been the nice part about NASCAR is on the football field. If a guy drops a touchdown pass, you don't see the sideline reporter running over and throwing a mic in his face. In NASCAR, if you crash out for the win, somebody's right there with a microphone in your face.
Yeah,
and every once in a while the driver goes in and changes clothes or cools off or whatever, and sometimes they don't. So, it's that's one of the things that's been nice about NASCAR.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back. Turn number 3, Mike Mittler is going to join us. Don't forget, 402-573-0590. Have that number ready and handy to go for when Mike Mittler tells us who's going to be in that 63 truck at the Eldora truck race for the Gander Outdoor Truck Series coming up on August 1st. Who's going to be in that truck? First person to answer it correctly is going to win a 4-pack of tickets to the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels car show at the CHI Center coming up in a couple of weeks, which, by the way, will be there, so you can swing by our booth.
We'll have a booth.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
Finding a home can be the most important decision in your life. It's the simple factors of neighborhood, garage size, the school district, and commute that get overlooked by most realtors. Those are the aspects that Jim Blazina has been focusing on since 1988. From rental properties to your forever home, the Racing Realtor will work hard to get you exactly what you're looking for, and he can help list your home for a speedy sale. Contact Jim Blazina today, 402-980-8400, or jblazina@npdodge.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the front stretch and the home of MAV TV, featuring action from the Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into turn number 3, and it's time to sit down and do another Red Oak Fabrication interview. Red Oak Fabrication offering powder coating at an affordable price. Get your bare chassis powder coated for just $275. If any reworking or sandblasting needs to be done, it's going to be just a little bit more for the labor. So give Jordan a call today, 712-623-4911, or you can email him, jordanf@redoakfabrication.com for a free estimate. redoakfabrication.com for more details. Joining us on the phone now, I don't think I am misstating this at all when I say a legendary Truck Series owner in the sport. He's had guys like Irwin Jr., Mike Wallace,
Carl Edwards,
Jamie
Mack.
So
They've all
many
been through his
drivers, and it's not drivers that on their way back down they came and drove for him. This was a guy that really gave him their start. We're talking with Mike Mittler of MB Motorsports, Mittler Brothers Motorsports. How you doing, sir?
Doing great this afternoon, guys. Thanks. Great to be able to talk to you again.
Well, it's great to talk to you. I know you're still fighting the good fight against this terrible disease. So let's just address the elephant in the room. And how you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Last Tuesday we got a great report. Our numbers are all in line of where they should be, and so the treatment is working. It's a long haul. Treatment will go on for quite some time, but the good news is it's working, and we're very, very thankful for that, and very thankful for all the people that have sent out thoughts and prayers and love to us. And so I just send out gratitude back to everybody that's been helpful to me.
Well, Dirk and I are definitely in that camp of sending you good, positive thoughts and vibes, because all the drugs in the world can't do what positivity and faith and good health can do for that.
Yeah, well, again, thank you. And, it's motivating to get up in the morning and come to work and to be still interested in racing. We want to race as our health will allow. And, of course, getting good reports like that is getting our health back in line of where it needs to be. And so we're excited to be able to race it even on a limited basis. And, if you look back over all the years, we kind of picked and choose the events we wanted to run at, and we're just going to do the same thing in 2019. And you can kind of imagine where those events will probably lead us, what the events that we'll kind of pick on. And as we were talking at the beginning there, we've kind of partnered up a little stronger with our friend DJ Kopp, and we're going to run. We've worked back and forth over the last couple of years with the 63 and the 83 number that he has, and so we just decided this year we would work together and just run the 63 number, whether DJ operates it or whether I operate it. So hopefully we can keep that number alive, run all the races this year, and give our fans something to cheer for.
And give you something to cheer for, too. It's got to be good to wake up in the morning, especially when you got to watch the Daytona race for the Truck Series and see that 63 turning laps.
Yeah, it really was. And for a lot of the fans, it might have been hard to follow because we had Bobby Gerhardt in there. And, Bobby is really a super speedway guy. He only really wants to run Daytona and Talladega. He's a very experienced driver. He hung around at the back of the draft all night long with a strategy of what to do, and it worked perfect. Other than he just got in that very last big one with a couple laps to go. It was a real shame because for sure we were headed for a top 5 finish or even better. And it just when you're in that close quarters racing, coming back on a restart, anything can happen. And unfortunately, the wrong thing happened to us. But yeah, it was pretty exciting for the 63, and I got to be honest with you, it got me up off my easy chair, and I was cheering him on as hard as I could with my limited voice that I got now, but I was cheering the old 63 on. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's a few of you guys that are out there. I mean, more of the low-budget teams that had real good runs going. And I was just hoping it would finish off for you guys. That top 5 would have been, a real shot in the arm.
Oh, man, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to start the year. And, who would think that, still finished 11th place without even finishing kind of a sad commentary on what happened during the race there. But, you saw the same thing happen on Sunday with the greatest drivers that there is. They piled it up with 10 to go or something. So, I don't think the Truck Series guys got anything to be embarrassed about. Sure, nobody wants to see that happen. Nobody wants to see that equipment tore up. And, of course, as an owner, I know the cost that it takes to prepare that equipment and get it to pass NASCAR Tech and to still have a fast truck. So, I look at that and say, holy cow, that's hurting a lot of guys, to have tore up equipment. I guess in a way, the good news is those trucks don't have to be ready again until Talladega because they are special built trucks that are only for Daytona and Talladega, but that still doesn't let doesn't let up on the expense. It's still expensive to fix those trucks and get the right parts and pieces back on them.
Well, and the wind tunnel time and everything else that's invested in those particular tracks.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we only dream of wind tunnel time. We put a couple fans in front of the truck and see what it does, but I don't think that's the same thing as going to the wind tunnel.
No, but hopefully the engineers are helping you guys out and giving you a few tips.
Well, we get what we call trickle down engineering, from some of the larger teams that have been willing to help us over all the years. And if those guys hadn't helped us, we'd never be competitive at all. And the one thing that really keeps us connected with the teams is the pull down rig machine that we make, and all the front running truck teams and most of the Xfinity teams have one of our pull-down machines. So that keeps us talking to the teams about, what they need, what technology they're using. And, of course, we have a pull-down machine for our own use, and that's really necessary for Daytona and Talladega, all the tracks, to get the truck down out of the air, to get the maximum downforce you can get. So we've been very fortunate that the teams have been, good friends of ours and have been willing to help us and support us.
TriStar Motorsports today on Facebook had a picture of their 00 Landon Castle's car on the pull-down rig getting ready for Atlanta. So they mentioned it was your rig. So
and that was probably just yesterday or today. Probably yesterday because I think they got to be rolling today because they got practice tomorrow. So that was a fresh picture. That was not a dated picture from before. That's brand new information. Yeah. Actually, that was at Earnhardt Technology is where
Correct.
It was. It wasn't TriStar. It was Earnhardt.
Yeah, it was TriStar's car though, the 00. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but it was at Earnhardt's Corporation though.
Yeah.
You guys made the MB Motorsports made its debut at Sears Auto Center 125 at the Milwaukee Mile back in 1995. Nearly 25 years of competition. Isn't it amazing when you think back to that first race how much these trucks and the sport and the fans have changed?
Holy cow! I mean that's mind-boggling to even hear you say that. Much less think about how much it's changed. I mean, we went with an open trailer and a crew cab pickup and 4 or 5 guys and no live pit stops. It just changed so much. It's unbelievable. And I still have a picture of that truck hanging in my office here. And I look back, with fond memories of that, saying, hey, we made that. That was our first debut race there. And, now we don't even race in Milwaukee anymore. But, a lot of changes have happened over all the years. And, of course, a lot of technology and all of racing, all forms of racing have changed. And the Truck Series has changed right along with it.
So how's everything going at the Mittler Brothers machine shop?
Well, I can say we're very, very blessed here. We've grown our management team over the last number of years, and my original intent was to be able to retire and have the guys run the plant. Unfortunately, the illness came in, but the good news is that I had them well positioned, and I just want to say what a spectacular job our management team is doing to run the day-to-day operations of Mittler. They're just doing a spectacular job, and really I'm almost like an old horse out the pasture. They're doing such a good job. And my main job is to come in and pat them on the back and say they're doing a great job. Our product line is that a lot of people know as far our tube notchers, our tube benders, our bead rollers, we're all world-class machines, and they're selling great. And, we do some engineering of special big machines for people, and that side of our business is very strong. So we're nothing but thankful here at Mittler Brothers for all the many blessings that we have.
Well, you guys do some business with some very talented people. I saw, again, on Facebook, a couple, looked like they were seats that somebody had done some bead rolling in that were just spectacular.
Yeah, well, we have a good relationship with a guy named Jimmie Jordan, is who you're referring to. And Jamie has taken our bead rolling machine that, is still the basic machine that we built many years ago. But he brought what we call the artwork part to bead rolling, and it just absolutely has blown that product line up. And we actually have training classes now for people to come in to learn how to operate the machine to be able to do that type of work. And it's really amazing to see the skill that many people have. Jamie's the guy that first made it public, you might say, by posting on, Facebook, Instagram, all those social places. And then, other people chimed in and said, hey, look what I do. But he is absolutely the king of that artwork bead rolling. And it blows my mind of having, sat here and created that machine many years ago. And now to look at the work that's being done on it. I mean, it's absolute art on metal, where a lot of other people would use canvas or paint or whatever it may be, but these guys are doing artwork on metal, and the detail is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And to watch some of them come into training class that have, let's say, low experience, and then when they leave, 2.5 days later, they're cranking out what, not as good as what you see Jamie does, but they're still cranking out really super nice work. And they've learned a lot of tricks that they can take home with them to then improve their work going down the road. So it's a lot of fun to watch what the guys have been able to do. Well, it's been very beneficial to our business.
The big question I want to know is, when do I get to see you at the racetrack next?
Well, I would say we would like to come over to Kansas and run Kansas. I don't have anything set for that yet, but we've always kind of considered Kansas City to be our second home racetrack. Mm-hmm. And for many years, when Gateway was closed, it was our home racetrack. So, good Lord willing, we can put something together and come over there. For sure, we're going to make a big effort to run at Gateway, obviously our home racetrack. And, I'm proud to tell you that, Bobby Pierce is going to return to the 63 for Eldora. Our goal is to go there with one truck, the 63 only, and our goal is to win that dang thing. So we're going to be with Bobby Saturday night, talk about more details of it, how we're going to put it together, how we're going to make it work. But we're really excited to tell you that Bobby will be in the 63 at Eldora again this year.
Well, I'm throwing a request out right away then. If Bobby's in that 63 at Eldora, I want to side off that truck after the race.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll be excited to make that happen.
Find a way to get it off that truck when it's in Victory Lane, right?
There you go. I'm sure when we get that baby in Victory Lane, those flames are shooting up. There will be a lot of people who want the sides off that baby,
Give me an excuse to drive down to St. Louis and hang out for a weekend.
Yeah, that might be what it takes, but you might have to fight off a few other people too.
That's why I got in first.
We might have to come to Eldora with some sheet metal cutters.
Yeah, I might even want to keep one myself for that deal.
Well, now we can't get in front of you, can we?
No. You know what would be cool would just be to have that jar of dirt that they dig up right there at the start-finish line. That's a pretty neat trophy to have. So I'd really like to have that jar of dirt. We've got some dirt that we scraped off the truck that we ran second with, but I'd like to have a jar of dirt that from Victory Lane or from the start finish line. That would be a lifelong keepsake for sure, guys.
Are you going to make it over to Iowa Speedway up there to Newton?
Well, we probably will. Again, I don't have anything 100% set. Again, kind of a home racetrack pretty close to us. We can drive to it. We want to primarily just go to races we can drive to so, yeah, we'll keep you updated of what our plans are and what we can make happen.
Great.
And follow them on Facebook, MB Motorsports. Make sure you follow them and like them. Mike, it's so great to talk to you. I can tell you that it's always a good day when you're around. So keep up the good fight and make sure you're there at Eldora to scoop up that jar of dirt.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for what you do for all forms of motorsports, and thanks for supporting MB Motorsports. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be stopping by to say hello down in Kansas in a couple months.
Absolutely.
We'll see you soon. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye. Once again, that was Mike Mittler of MB Motorsports and Mittler Brothers Machine and Fab. Great to hear from him. Mike was one of the first ones that worked with us on the Crewman for a Day contest.
Yeah, and I mean, I've known Mike now for, it's going on close to 20 years, I guess, from when I first met him. But one of the real great guys in the sport. I mean, funds his race team pretty much out of his own pocket, does what he can, and as we talked at the beginning, has given a ton of drivers their start.
Yeah.
You know, Carl drove his trucks, Jamie Mack drove his trucks, Kenny Irwin Jr.
Reagan Smith, Ron Hornaday,
it's a who's
Justin
who.
Allgaier, Brad Keselowski drove a couple of times for him.
It's a who's who of who's been in his equipment.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of those guys have gone on to much bigger and better things. So just a great guy for the sport. And if you ever get a chance and you're down in St. Louis and you want to tour the shop, I know he's pretty good about, stop over at the Fab shop and they'll walk you through if they've got time. And, it's a real neat guy.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in turn number 4 to wrap this baby up.
Every driver is looking for the competitive edge, and fantasy racing is no different. Get the competitive edge on your league by subscribing to FantasyRacingTips.com. Chad Robb, a member of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association, gives you great insight, statistics, and easy-to-understand information for each race. He'll give you the competitive advantage that'll put Benjamins back in your wallet. From DraftKings to season-long NASCAR fantasy leagues, Chad knows who you should take each race. Turn your fantasy season around at FantasyRacingTips.com.
Racers all over the country are discovering the benefits of powder coating their chassis. Powder coating offers a clean, even finish you will be proud to show off to fans and sponsors. Plus, it's a more durable surface. While looking beautiful, powder coating offers superior protection against corrosive chemicals typically spilled during routine maintenance. Bare frames start at $275 with estimates available if blasting or reworking is needed. Get your quote today by emailing Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com or by calling 712-623-4911.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around the professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to it. Rolling into turn number 4. Got a little stagger in us today. It's just kind of an off show for us. It's
We're
nice.
just sluggish.
Yeah,
All the snow.
It's a good weekend. It's a good time to be sluggish. Boy, I tell you, I am so ready for racing season.
Well,
this is ridiculous.
The excitement of the first 2 races is kind of, winding down now.
Hey, by the way, if you want to get involved, I spent some time earlier this week and created a calendar on Google. I'm a big fan of Gmail and Google calendars and that for the front stretch so that you can kind of keep up with start times and races for NASCAR and local dirt tracks. I included all the NASCAR Cup Series races and then all the specials for the tracks that I could think of in this area. Obviously, Eagle and I-80 are on there. Beatrice and Junction and US 30, Shelby County, Crawford County, Adams County, all the specials. Actually, I think I need to add Adams County to that. But if you want to get involved in that, it's easy. All you got to do is just send us an email. I'll send you the link to add the calendar. It's not going to pop up as a notification, but it shows up on your calendar. So that way, if you're coming up to Wednesday and Thursday, you're trying to figure out what you want to do this weekend, you can see what tracks are running their specials for the local dirt tracks, and you can keep up to date with where everybody's at for the NASCAR Cup Series.
You might want to think about adding Oric and I-29.
Oh, yeah. Get some of the drag races on there, too. We're going to help those guys out. So, absolutely. All right, we're talking about Las Vegas today. Don't forget, fantasyracingtips.com. Head over to Chad's website. He's got great information, up to date, and great tips and tricks for you can win your fantasy league, as well as help you win the Pick'ems contest for the season long. And he's going to be a great resource if you want to win one of those 5-week contests. Highly suggest you get a subscription. Now, even though we're 2 races down in a 36 race schedule, if you subscribe today, your membership carries over for a calendar year. So you'll get Daytona and Atlanta in 2019 as a part of your subscription. So that's always handy to have in your back pocket. I highly recommend you take advantage of fantasyracingtips.com. Looking at this race last year, Kevin Harvick was a man on fire. Won stage 1, won stage 2, and swept the weekend. Was supposed to take home 60 championship owner points and 7 bonus playoff points after he led 5 times for 214 laps. Kyle Busch came home second, Larson in third, Truex Jr. when he was in the 78 car came home fourth, and Ryan Blaney with the top 5 finish. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Erik Jones, Paul Menard, and Aric Almirola rounded out your top 10. That was how they finished this race last year. Kurt Busch, who was in the 41 at the time, started third, ended up finishing 35th. Chase Elliott was also involved in an accident. He finished 34th after starting 6th. Both of them finished back in the top 10, 8th, 9th area in the stages. So late in that race, they were involved in an accident. Other major contenders, let's see. AJ Allmendinger, who was in the 47 car this time last year, finished 30th. Point that out because see what Ryan Preece could do with that improvement. Daniel Suarez, who was in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing this time last year, finished 26th. He's obviously in the 41 for Stewart Haas Racing. And that Clint Bowyer finished 18th. Denny Hamlin 17th. Alex Bowman 16th. Jimmie Johnson 12th. So that's kind of where some of your other major contenders finished.
But this was also the race where they came up with the Harvick rule, where they will disqualify you now. Yep. And this was the race where the rear window was all caved in on his car, and he got out of the car the following week at Phoenix after they won there. So he won 3 races in a row, but only the first and the third counted.
Correct.
And but he got out and he beat on that back window to show that they got their brace fixed. And so that's something that if you had Harvick at this race last year, you got 0 points.
Well, you actually got 20 points because he was hit with a 40-point penalty.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Wasn't disqualification to get 0. Yeah, he was hit with the win penalty is what it was. You got his stage points, but not the win points. And he had a huge fine, too.
Yeah, he was hit with a level 1 penalty for rear window support and structure violations. The rear window support braces must keep the rear window glass rigid at all directions and at all times. The right side rocker panel extensions did not meet NASCAR rule specifications. Extension was not aluminum. Crew Chief Rodney Childress was fined $50,000. Car Chief Robert Smith was suspended for the next 2 Monster Energy Cup Series races, and it looks like I stand corrected. The team was assessed 20 driver points and 20 owner points. According to this, I'm pretty sure it was 40. I looked it up before when they came up with this new points penalty, and I'm pretty sure it was 40 points he was hit with. But I'll read what the official one was. Team was assessed with 20 driver points and 20 owner point penalties, respectively. So a big penalty for the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. He would come back later in the year, and I believe it was Phoenix late in the year. No, it wasn't Phoenix. It was Texas that they found that illegal spoiler.
Right.
And then he lost Rodney Childress for Phoenix and Homestead. So a big penalty there. Keep that in mind. That is for anybody that is new to the Pick'ems contest. If you happen to pick a driver that is assessed a points penalty following failing post-race inspection at the end of a race, you will be assessed the same number of points. So had you taken, according to this points penalty report from NASCAR, had you taken Kevin Harvick and he won 60 points, you would have actually only walked away with 40 points on the day because he was assessed that 20-point driver point penalty.
And that's automatically done. You don't have to call us.
Right. Yeah, we're going to take that away for you. This race last year, something to note, only 9 cars left on the lead lap. Paul Menard was the final car on the lead lap when the checkered flag dropped. So
it's because they were long green flag runs. You're not going to see I don't think you're going to see that this year. I mean, you could still see it. There were 9 trucks left at the end of the Daytona 500. So or at the 250 down there. So I mean, there's an outside chance, but I think you'll see 20 to 25 cars on the lead lap, just like you did at Atlanta.
You take Kevin Harvick again today? I mean, he was fast at this race last year.
I'm going to wait and see what they do with their practices.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't looked at any of that yet. I need to look at that because with that new tire, I don't know. I just think it's weird they did that test out there just a month ago and they changed things up. That's kind of odd.
That's not usually because we've talked about it with Goodyear in the past that while they may want to change tires, they've got a manufacturing process that they have to go through. They have to produce, 3,500 tires for a race? I think
something like that.
I mean, and that's a lot of tires to produce and to change. They've obviously had the stock available to be able to make this change, so it was probably a fortunate circumstance that they were able to make this change and have enough tires to be able to supply the series.
Yeah, it probably only takes 10 minutes to make all those tires.
Picks for today's race are due by 2:30. The coverage is on Fox and PRN starting at 1:30. The Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway kicks off. Again, coverage on Fox and PRN at 1:30. Your picks are due by 2:30. If you happen to get your pick in a little bit late, maybe it's 2:35, 2:40, whatever. As long as the green flag hasn't waved, you are able to email me your pick, and I can manually go in and change it. Just try not to make that a habit because there's chances for human error, and then that could cause big issues later on down the road. So if you happen to get in a little bit late, we had somebody earlier this week on Sunday morning that was out, not able to get to their phone, had their friend email me and say, hey, so-and-so wants to take this driver. Their phone's left at home. They're not able to get the pick put in. I said, no problem. I'll put it in for you. And everything was all good and grand. So not a hard thing to do. Just try not to make it much of a habit, so that way it takes the human error on my aspect out of it a little bit, which is the reason why we switched, because it was getting to be quite a bit of human error when I would have to go through and resend the final results on Wednesday and then Thursday and go back weeks later and make adjustments. So one big reason why we switched to the NASCAR pools online. Once again, Kevin Harvick won this race this time last year. Unfortunately, he was deemed illegal, so it's kind of a big question mark if you want to try to take him again. I think with this new penalty, it'll be really interesting to see what happens to the first driver that gets popped. But it's kind of reassuring, kind of nice that we've gone 2 races now without any issues, which was more races than we went last year. I think maybe we might have gone 3 or 4 races without anybody getting popped, and then it was a bevy again of drivers getting hit with penalties.
Well, I've been surprised that we've had as much problems going through qualifying tech as what we've had.
Yeah.
Guys have lost some car chiefs and some practice time and stuff already. I thought that they would clean that up on their own, but they haven't.
Yep. We talked about at the beginning of the show, the Beatrice Spring Nationals were supposed to kick off this coming weekend, but they have been delayed one more week to try to allow the weather to clear out just a little bit. And they did put a little caveat at the end of it that they do have other dates in mind if the weekends. If March 14th, 15th, and 16th don't work out either, which...
It's supposed to be real cold for the next couple of weeks. And, it's not supposed to get above 30 degrees for a couple of weeks.
Which is going to be critical. I mean, that's the reason why a lot of the streets took so long to clear is because it was so cold already that they just could not get the snow up off the ground. And the ice melt didn't have the right temperature to be able to work, so it's just been a mess. So right now they're planning on practice the 14th, running on Friday and Saturday, the 15th and 16th. If they happen to have to move it again, make sure to listen to the Front Stretch. We'll get you up to date on all that. Coming up next weekend, let's see. We are going to start playing all of our interviews. We were down at the Precise Racing Products open house yesterday conducting a bunch of interviews. So we've got a bunch of sprint car interviews we're going to be playing over the next couple of weeks. Got to get Stan Caesar in here to preview the Eagle Raceway schedule, which I'm sure he'll be happy to come in and do that. So a lot coming up in the next couple of weeks as we are starting to get set for all the different races coming in the middle of March and the end of March and then April, pending snow melting.
Pending. Might be canoe racing early in the year.
Yeah. Get your picks in by 2:30 today for Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Appreciate Mike Mittler taking the time out of his week to have a conversation. It was so great to hear from him and to see he's doing good and he's fighting the good fight. We'll be back next weekend to do it all over again. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590.
Finding a home can be the most important decision in your life. It's the simple factors of neighborhood, garage size, the school district, and commute that get overlooked by most realtors. Those are are the aspects that Jim Blazina has been focusing on since 1988. From rental properties to your forever home, the Racing Realtor will work hard to get you exactly what you're looking for, and he can help list your home for a speedy sale. Contact Jim Blazina today, 402-980-8400, or jblazina at npdodge.com.
Racers all over the country are discovering the benefits of powder coating their chassis. Powder coating offers a clean, even finish you will be proud to show off to fans and sponsors. Plus, it's a more durable surface. While looking beautiful, powder coating offers superior protection against corrosive chemicals typically spilled during routine maintenance. Bare frames start at $275 with estimates available if blasting or reworking is needed. Get your quote today by emailing Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com or by calling 712-623-4911.
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.